All right, everyone. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you the steps for a successful Google Meet teletherapy session, starting with scheduling and using the Google Calendar feature to invite guests like your students or their parents, add information, upload attachments, and things like that. So first, we're going to start with whatever email you will be using, and we're going to head over to the Google Calendar feature. Once we get to the layout that we want, we are going to hit the Create button right at the top to create a new event. Then we will go ahead and plug in whatever title we want to use. So we might say Hadassah's speech therapy session. Then it's already correct for you. It's the event. You want to leave it that way. You're going to click on the time, date, or whatever you would like. So let's say we want to make it for today from 11 to 11:30. It's a half an hour session. That's all set. And we're going to add guests. So for today, my dad is going to be my guest. And you can add as many guests as you want, even if they do not have a Google account. Then you can add the option of conferencing. So this is where you want to go in order for a link to be created for your parent or the scholar to be able to access the video chat when the time comes. So you go ahead and click there, and a Join Hangouts Meet link will be automatically created for your session. In this Add Description section, you can go ahead and add more information for the session. So I just made this bigger here. So you can add information. So for example, for my middle schoolers, I usually send them a little message like, "Hi scholars, please remember to confirm and accept your scheduled appointment for your upcoming session." Then in this little box, I'll take advantage, and if there's something that I need them to have prepared during the session, I'll let them know ahead of time, but you can address this just like you would a normal email. One of the things that I really like, it is similar to an email in that you can add attachments right there, so you don't have to wait for them to look for the material you need them to be ready with for the session. You can just have it right there readily available. So for example, let's say we are going to be reading an article. I can select a file right here, and it will attach, and once they get the invitation, they will have access to that just like they would anything else. You can also link videos if you would like, or do anything like that. So that's one of the easy features there. Again, you can continue to add as many guests as you want. This notification you can change if you'd like or not. That just gives you that notification feature, hey, reminder, you have an 11 o'clock session coming up in 10 minutes. One of the other features that's really nice, if your schedule is all set already and you know that, okay, Hadassah's speech therapy session is going to be happening every Friday from 11 to 11:30, you can set it up as a reminder that's already preset. So that means that you're not going to have to go in every week and create this manually. It'll just automatically come up. So let's say, okay, I only have a speech session once a week for 30 minutes. That's my mandate. We're going to say weekly on Friday, and it'll automatically create these calendar reminders up until whatever day I decide. You can also make it custom, like we said, for students with split mandates or who have different days and things like that. For the specific reoccurrence that you want them to have. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and click Save there, and we're going to send the invite to the calendar guests and invite external guests. This is what I had mentioned, that even if they don't have a Google email address, they can still come in on the session. So you want to go ahead and click Yes. And someone needs to access the file. Yep, so you just want to be sure that you are giving them the options to be able to view and access the file, okay, which is what we want. And we're going to go ahead and invite. Again, share outside of the file's organization because this person doesn't have a Google Mail. Got it, no problem. And there we go. So your session is made. So now when you hover and click, it'll give you the details of those sessions, okay? So one of the other good options with this is that you can easily copy this link here if you needed to use something like Google Voice to text it quickly to a parent if they had some issue copying or getting into the calendar features. You can just copy here and paste it into a text message or something like that. If they needed to, they could join by phone, but again, since we need video and audio, that's not really an issue that we have. Okay, so there's also another option for creating a therapy session besides using the calendar feature, You can go right into the Google Meet app on your dashboard, and you can click there, and this is the screen that you will be met with. And this just has some of the logistical stuff and the settings and that we've seen or that you will see in the actual video feature. So this is to test your microphone and your video and to kind of calibrate it, make sure it's appropriate for the session that you are trying to deliver. So here is the queue that will hold all of the sessions that you have scheduled. If you have a lot, back to back, it'll have them all listed here for you nicely so that you can end one session and it'll bring you automatically to this page if you have an upcoming sessions. So for the sake of today, we're gonna figure out how to join or start a meeting. So we're gonna try to start our own meeting. So we are going to go in here and say sample therapy session because we're making our own. Okay, so here we go. Perfect. So this is similar to the sign-in process that we've seen before. This would just log us in right here. So this will come up because we haven't added participants, right? So we would either be copying this joining information and sending it somewhere else or adding people here via email or via phone call if we wanted to. However, I have never used this. I've always done it via calendar because then obviously you can schedule way in advance. And I like to be able to see everything on the calendar feature. I just think it's a much more organized way of doing it. But you also have this option of just creating a session right there from the Google Meet app itself. For this next part, we're going to look at actually logging into a session that has been scheduled through the calendar or through the app itself, and we are going to figure out how to access that, how to allow the participant to come in, and the different features that are accessible through Google Meets. So you can go to your Google Calendar and look for the session that you want to get into, right? So we're going to click on this one that was scheduled for today, and we're going to go ahead and click Join Hangouts Meet. That will open us into another tab. It'll say Getting Ready, and then, yeah, perfect. So the microphone information will detect where you're connected. Your camera from your laptop will also be connected, and it'll just confirm that your sound volume is good, your video is good, all of that stuff. And on the right-hand side, it'll tell you the title of the therapy session that you have given, if anyone else is already in the meeting, or if you should join now and present the meeting. So you can go ahead and join in, okay? So then the next thing that you want to do is confirm, that your video and your audio are working well. The movement over here in the top right corner is just the response from your audio, so that's a good thing that you want to be able to see. Over here is the little image for your chat box. So while you're talking to your students, if you want to send them something here or if they need to chat, all you have to do is type in and this will highlight, and then you can go ahead and send it. On this section on the left, people, so when you actually have participants, it'll be able to tell you who's there. You can also add people if you needed to invite someone last second. You can also have that option of entering it manually. Another option that's helpful here is if for some reason you have someone in your session that you don't need in that session or don't want in that session, but they've logged in, you can manually go in here and there is a feature where you can just click on it and remove them from the actual call. So let's keep looking around. So over here is all the information that was attached to that calendar invite. So if we could click this arrow up, it gives you the details, right? The note that I had written earlier when I sent the calendar invite, the time and date, the joining information, including the link and the mobile number. So like I had mentioned in the calendar portion of the tutorial, you can also copy this joining information here if you needed to send that in a quick text or just email that directly to something. It's quick and very easy. Over here is the attachment section. So just as in the calendar invite, I had attached a reading document, you can attach it here. So again, whoever you sent that email invite to, they also have access to this, and it'll just open right up in whatever system you have. So for mine, I had shared it through Google Drive, and they will have access to that. All right, so there goes that. We're good there. These are your main controls. So for example, if for some reason I didn't want them to hear me for a second, or if someone had come into my room and I needed to say something, I could just turn off the microphone. That means that I'm muted right now. I can hear them. and they can see me, but they cannot hear me. Doing the video one on this side would mean that my video feature is taken off, and it would just be whatever image is associated with the email account that I'm on. So you can go ahead and put it back on, and then I will come back. This middle one is for ending a call and leaving it. Once you click that, there will be like a feedback survey to rate the quality of your call from, no stars to 5. And if it's less than 5, they'll ask you for a reason. The turn on captions features I don't use, but as you are speaking, it will turn your speech into text. If you find that would be helpful, then that could definitely be a good option for you and your students for your session. The arrows here are for some more technical components, so changing the layout. This is the auto one, but it depends also on the number of participants that you have in the way in which you want to set it up. But there are some good options there if you're working with groups of 3 or 4 scholars. There's also the full screen, again, the captions, and the settings that are specific to the audio and video, which hopefully would have already been taken care of. But if there is an issue, this is where you could go and try to figure it out or to test it. So we're also going to check out Present Now. So there are 2 options, your entire screen or your window. So depending on what you have prepared for your therapy session, you would be able to make your choice. So if you wanted to do your entire window, that means that they'd have access to everything that you have access to. So you can go ahead and share that. And then within just about 3 seconds, it would be shared with your participant as well. So with that full screen option, they would have access. So if I click here, they'd be seeing all of this. If I click here, they'd be accessing that as well. In order to stop sharing your screen, all you have to do is click Stop Presenting. That's it. If you wanted to just share a specific window, it would give you the different options of the windows that are open. So for example, right now I have a Word document open. If that was the one thing that I wanted to share with them, I would just click that and go ahead and click Share. All right, so I think those are the most important components for here that we can offer. One of the things that I usually like to do when I'm working and sharing part of my screen and doing an activity is I will move this portion of the session and make it smaller depending on how many scholars I have, and kind of moving it over because I like to make sure that I can still see all of my students to know, what they're doing and all of that stuff. So in the next portion, we will talk about actually getting your student on, or in this case, my dad, onto the session, and what things look like when I'm sharing a screen when there's an actual participant, and what it looks like from the participants and when they get invited into a session and when they are looking at the screen that I have up. So I'm going to end the call now so you can also see that feature of the rating. So we're going to click here to end. It says you left the meeting. If that was an accident, then you can just rejoin, or you can return to your home screen, and you can also decide the quality of the video, and it'll say thank you for your feedback. One of the unique features of this is that if you have any other sessions in your queue and in your lineup, they will show up here. So for example, if it's 8 a.m. on a Thursday, I usually have a lot of back-to-backs. All of them will show up here. So when I finish with one session, I have them, ready and lined up to just click, open, and keep moving from there. So this is kind of like your queue area for all of your coming sessions. All right, so this is the invitation that my dad received, for example, for today's session. So he's going to go into his email that says all the info. You want them to click on Joining Info, Join Hangouts Meet. They're going to click on that. So then they're going to be met with this page, and it's going to say ready to join, and then they're going to have to ask to join. Okay, so now we have this option, right? It's going to say someone wants to join this meeting. It's my dad, so we're going to click admit. That's not always necessary, but sometimes that'll pop up depending on the place that the person comes from. So there's my dad. Hi, Dad. So we're going to give an example. I'm going to present my screen to him, right? So I'm going to go ahead and share my entire screen, and that means that he'll have access to everything that I'm seeing in just a few seconds, and that will be mirrored up here next to me and right over here. So once I click through, he will be able to see this on his side, and all of that stuff. So what I had mentioned earlier was that I like to be able to close this off a little bit so that I can still see them while also seeing like the content that I want to be working on with them. So another option, like we had mentioned, we can stop presenting and then we can choose a specific window. And that just gives you a different option for exactly what you want them to be able to see. So if I just want them to be able to see the article, then that is all we will allow them to see, and it'll be specific. So I'm going to go ahead and share my entire screen, and that means that he'll have access to everything that I'm seeing in just a few seconds, and that will be mirrored up here next to me and right over here. So once I click through, he will be able to see this on his side and all of that stuff. What I had mentioned earlier was that I like to be able to close this off a little bit so that I can still see them while also seeing like the content that I want to be working on with them. So another option, like we had mentioned, we can stop presenting and then we can choose a specific window. And that just gives you a different option for exactly what you want them to be able to see. So if I just want them to be able to see the article, then that is all we will allow them to see, and it'll be specific. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to stop presenting and I'm going to walk my dad through how to open up his stuff. All right, so puppy, you see an option to present now? Okay, so you're going to go ahead and click that. And then you're going to click, entire screen. And then a window is going to pop up. You're going to click on the screen and then say share. Okay, so now it says that he is presenting. So now, I can see whatever he has decided to share with me as a participant. We go into the group box. This is something I had mentioned earlier. When you have participants and there's a drop-down menu, you can click on that and you can remove something if you choose to, okay? So, for example, if we wanted to remove my dad's presentation from the call, we could remove it and it would just be him. If we needed, to remove a student for some reason, then you could do that. So that's also one of the options. And that's pretty much how the features go with that. So we're going to go ahead and end this call and we're going to rate it. So let's say we rated a 3. We're going to kind of express, okay, these are the problems, and we're going to submit. And then it'll go through and take you to your queue if there's anything.